I'm sure that many of you, if not most of you, have seen that video floating around YouTube lately, the one entitled Poster Boys for Atheist Stupidity. As I intend to show in this presentation, the video at hand, in my opinion, is gravely incorrect on a number of points it raises. My hope is that the originator of the Poster Boys for Atheist Stupidity video, Hallcyon, will remake it, free of error. In any case, I will play those parts of the video in question that I feel are incorrect, and debunk them piece by piece.
There are those who insist that there is a conflict between science and religion.
Surah 88, verse 20, how the earth was smoothed. That was from the Quran. If you read the book, you'll find scattered throughout numerous mentions of the earth being smooth or flat. And if you think that I'm squeezing a drop of water from a boulder, allow me to direct you to the Al-Jalalain tafsirs, or scholarly commentaries of the Quran. As for his words, sutihat, laid out flat, this on a literal reading suggests that the earth is flat, which is the opinion of most of the scholars of the revealed law, and not a sphere as astronomers have it. Hallcyon later mentions the Islamic Golden Age, so I should point out that the Mufassirs, or exegetes, who created the Al-Jalalain tafsirs were well aware of the discoveries made by Muslim astronomers, as they indicate in the aforementioned tafsir, but they denied these and declared the earth to be flat according to the Quran. Religion by default conflicts with scientific discoveries. This is what happens when you codify archaic belief systems in dogma. But I'll go further. According to the Quran, genies exist. Yes, I kid you not. Invisible beings of fire who can somehow listen to what people are saying, with ears of fire, I guess, and do manual labour, with invisible bodies of fire, I suppose, and can even get into heaven and perhaps get huris. This contradicts everything we know about physics and chemistry. It isn't possible to construct an ear or a dick out of invisible fire. So again, a contradiction with modern scientific findings. I could go on such subjects as the moon and the sun being in heaven, the Quran's geocentric worldview, etc., all of which contradict science. But let's get on with the show.
But I question whether anyone insisting such comprehends either science or religion.
Well, considering that I'm well versed in religion and religious thinking, I'm a student of history, I'm constantly researching contemporary issues abroad, I love and broadly understand science, and I used to be a religious person, well, I'm not an expert on anything. But in light of the above, I don't think that you can just dismiss me and my opinions off the cuff as ignorant or incomprehensible simply for holding a contrary opinion. Instead, you're going to have to judge me by the merits of my arguments. That was actually quite a disingenuous out you made for yourself, dismissing most detractors as automatically ignorant if they disagreed.
The function of both can be discerned, and I maintain the scientific method can assist in bringing about an understanding of religion.
If you had said an expose of religion, I would have agreed with you. Science lays bare the falsehoods of religious doctrine. Now, the next part of your video talks about the motivations of various popular anti-theists, and I care not for it. I'll let Stealth Badger do the talking here.
He then goes on into a rather interesting history of Venom Fang X's time on YouTube, in which he completely neglects to mention that the first time Venom Fang X left YouTube, Venom Fang X's website was taken down with a little banner saying that we are Venom Fang X's parents, and we do not agree with his views, and yada yada yada. So there was a vested interest as far as his parents go. And there was a prior history of him coming onto YouTube and doing shitty things. And saying that they got him on this call and forced him to humiliate himself is kind of stupid because...
Hi there everyone out there on YouTube. My name is Sean, and I used to go by the username known as VenomFangX on YouTube. That account is now closed. I've been speaking with members of the YouTube community like Thunderfoot and DPR Jones, as well as my family, who felt it would be right for me to make this video. Now, it needs to be said, this video is not scripted. I'm not reading from anything. I'm not being coerced or forced to make it. I'm not being coerced or forced to make it. I'm not being coerced or forced to make it. I just sincerely think this is a good idea. People who I used to perceive as antagonists have actually come to help me, because they see that what I've done on the Venom Fang X channel, what I've done through that persona is harmful to myself and my family, as well as the Christian community here on YouTube and the entire YouTube community. DPR Jones has been a gentleman to me. He's actually been very kind and friendly.
But Jordan Owen actually had a wonderfully productive conversation with Sean's father. A painful one in which they worked out some serious shit. And by painful, I mean for Sean's father. And apparently Jordan was very respectful because a statement was issued jointly by Jordan Owen and Sean's father about the situation. So apparently they came to some kind of agreement.
Ray Comfort, a slimy used car salesman type who uses Christianity as a tool to exploit others, agreed to meet with Thunderfoot. And what required a strong, forceful Christopher Hitchens approach, Thunderfoot went soft against this absurd banana man. Because of the format, Thunderfoot's usual tactics were not possible in a live one-on-one debate. It is widely considered he failed miserably.
I really have to disagree here, Hallcyon. I watched the entire thing, and although Thunderfoot didn't exactly wipe the floor with Ray, it wasn't anywhere near a failure. I mean, Thunderfoot even got Ray to admit that speciation occurs.
Yeah, but all you need is an overactive imagination to believe in evolution.
Which aspect of this do you contest? You accept that there is the salamander, you have to accept my word for this, that there is actually...
Yeah, but it's not evolution.
What, that they can no
You
longer
believe it is?
interbreed?
Yeah, they just can't interbreed. You can take
Right.
dogs. If you do that with dogs,
So-
you keep interbreeding dogs. There's a point of time when they're
Yes.
so different,
Yeah,
they won't be able to breed.
Yeah.
But it's not proof of evolution. It's a
That's-
de-evolution.
that's speciation.
Okay.
Thunderfoot spoke about awakening a sleeping giant. Ali, a Muslim vlogger known as Dawa Films, made a reply to Thunderfoot, which was grossly misinterpreted. He did commit one cardinal sin, though, by playing into the various stereotypes that many make against Muslims with his poorly chosen words.
I would say that Ali's biggest error was actually responding to Thunderfoot in the first place. Thunderfoot was quite clearly speaking in defensive terms, talking about what would happen if Islam, or Darul Islam, launched a genuine attack against the West, beyond September the 11th, beyond flying aeroplanes into buildings. The result would be the awakening of a sleeping giant, in all probability. As of such, Ali's response to Thunderfoot made absolutely no sense. Thunderfoot was talking about reciprocation, as he stated over and over, and not some unwarranted attack on innocent people. It seems that Ali utterly misunderstood what Thunderfoot said in his video, as evidenced by Ali's emotional conditional threat response. Thunderfoot's subsequent response to this response was equally rash, but that's a subject for a future video.
He even refers to Islam as, quote, some barbaric Middle Eastern cult, end quote.
According to mainstream, orthodox and traditional schools of Islamic jurisprudence, no, not the Wahhabis of Saudi Arabia, I am referring to the Hanafis, the Shafis, the Malikis, the Hanbalis, and the Jafaris. Apostasy, homosexuality, and adultery are all punishable by death. There are degrees of nuance, but overall, barbaric is an understatement. That would be like if the Catholic Church officially mandated death for apostates, or homosexuals, or adulterers. That's appalling.
Allegations were made that Ali was after Thunderfoot's personal information. There was no malevolent intent whatsoever. Ali never was interested in any personal information. Ali only wanted to verify Thunderfoot's profession to understand who he was dealing with. As for the possibility of contacting Thunderfoot's employer, that was purely emotionally speculative on Ali's part.
Bullshit. I mean, really. Go read the chat logs. If you think that Dawa Films was just curious about who Thunderfoot is and where he works, and didn't intend to get him fired, or at least try to get him fired, well, what can I say? You're an idiot. This was no joke. Look at the comments that Ali left on Dixie Comics' videos.
DPR Jones also said at one point, when he acquires information on another user online, that I don't intend to use them, but I like to be armed with info just in case.
If you think that Ali wasn't going to use Thunderfoot's docs, you're a retard. Again, read Ali's comments and what he said in the chat log.
He and Thunderfoot make the claim that Ali has crossed some inexcusable line. This is the absolute height of hypocrisy. DPR Jones and Thunderfoot have cried crocodile tears on this matter.
Let me remind you what this was all about, Hallcyon. Venom Fang X was false, DMCAing DPR Jones and Thunderfoot, among many others, which was illegal. And also,
and I've done things that are deplorable and wrong.
do you remember that debacle about the, what was it again? Oh yeah, it was the Sick Kids Hospital. You know, when Venom Fang X was stealing charity money? Yeah.
There is also an accusation that Ali was interested in hacking Thunderfoot's secondary YouTube account, and such has been explained as joking by Ali.
Once again, only a flaming retard would believe that. Seriously, have you even read the chat logs?
Regarding Islam, Thunderfoot states, quote, "I will see the world will be a better place when in 50 years, if this anti-science attribute to the religion is diminished or the number of people practicing the religion is diminished." Well, I've heard this argument before regarding atheism and homosexuality, how such is immoral, counterproductive to human civilization, and that the latter spreads disease. If only we could just educate these fools out of such nonsense.
Okay, this is really stupid. There is no evidence that homosexuality destroys civilization, scientific advancement, and human progress. Religion, on the other hand, cripples, opposes, and obstructs these phenomena by default. Do you not understand what the words faith and dogma mean? Do you not see how factually incorrect holy scriptures that are mired in the past, but are nevertheless revered as absolute truths, hold society back by burdening society with factually incorrect worldviews and anti-progressive values? No? Never mind then.
As for the argument that there is an anti-science element to the Islamic faith, let us not forget, as Muhammad Hamidullah, a scholar of Islam and international law, stated regarding the 10th century encyclopedia of the Brethren of Purity, and I quote, "The Muslim thinkers state that the ape then evolved into a lower kind of barbarian man. He then became a superior human being. English translations of the encyclopedia were available from 1812 onward, and this may have directly influenced Charles Darwin. If Islam is such a detriment culturally, then how come it influenced such a conclusion?"
You probably don't know this, but according to the Quran, mankind descends not from monkeys, but from Adam and Eve. This fable is held as indisputable fact in mainstream traditional and orthodox Islam. That is very contrary to modern and ancient scientific discoveries. Ergo, that was a really stupid argument.
And what about the Golden Age of Islam?
Modern Islam rests on the shoulders of the men who opposed and destroyed the rationalist schools of Islam and denounced Greek thought and philosophy as heretical. Great scholars like Razi, al-Ma'ari, and Umar Khayyam were all vehement critics of Islam. Averroes was critical of how Islamic society treats women, and was also persecuted for his heretical Greek and rationalist thoughts. Al-Biruni believed that religion shouldn't interfere with science. Avicenna was persecuted by Islamic clerical authorities for his heretical beliefs. Al-Kindi struggled to reconcile faith with rationalism, keep in mind that rationalism was later declared to be heretical, etc. I'm actually going to make a video series on the subject. So in conclusion, it was stupid of you to even bring this up.
I am for criticism of religion, but this isn't valid criticism. It's malevolent.
I am for valid criticism of Thunderfoot, but this video of yours was accompanied by too much bullshit. I'd like you to think about my criticisms, especially in light of the following quote.
Socrates said that if he were ever to be shown to be wrong in an argument, that it would be a benefit to him rather than harm, because the person that was right simply stays right. But Socrates would have been purged of one more false point of view.
The video Poster Boys for Atheist Stupidity does present some very valid criticisms of Thunderfoot and his compatriots, but it undermines its own message by simultaneously presenting falsehoods and blunders. So I have a suggestion to make to Hallcyon. Remake the video and then repost it, free of error. There are some real, legitimate criticisms that can be made of Thunderfoot, but you have failed to encapsulate them. As of such, I suggest that you remake the video. In fact, I'll even help you. What do you say?